What's going on? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Delani, also known as DelaBerry340. So today we're gonna build Legos and yap. And building Legos is one of my other hobbies, and I have been in a Lego building slump because I was also in a reading slump, but yet I was attached to my Kindle a little bit. But now I have this little one that I want to build, which is a turtle. This is a 3-in-1 creator combo, but I want to build a turtle because it's so cute. They also have the chameleon and the frog, but I like the turtle. So we're going to do a turtle with the flower pad, and we're going to talk about my evolution of reading, my reading journey. I saw 2 other creators talk about this, Jalisa and Alex. Make sure you go check out their channels. And it had me thinking of where I started as a reader from a child to now, and I was like, you know, that was a crazy journey for me, and I want to talk about it. I don't know if it's interesting to you, but I want to talk about it. So let's build and yap. Also, in the 3-in-1 combos, it typically comes with 3 separate books, and we're going to be doing the turtle, so I won't be needing these books, so I'll put this to the side. Let's do the turtle. And I usually have a little bin to keep my pieces sorted. I don't have one right now. Ooh, I don't like that. Okay, we're gonna figure it out. Oh, I also need to scan. Sorry, I need to scan this. Also, if you didn't know, Legos have a Lego Builder app. So if you want to, I usually use the app to build my bigger pieces. Not gonna use it for these little ones because these are fairly quick builds. But when I have like parts in a book that I don't understand, I will use the app because then I could like flip it, change it, see exactly where how many spaces I need to attach it. So this is a Lego Builder app here, and also it's a good way if you have a Lego account, because you need to track your points. This is good because you could scan the book and it'll give you points towards Legos. So let me sign in. So like I said, this is the Lego Builder app, and it also tracks like all the builds that you've already created. So that's there. You also get points when you finish your creation. It's scan the QR code and then it's going to bring up the digital form of the book. But like I said, for the little pieces, I'm just going to do this, but I want my points for this. So at the end, I'll just like quickly swipe through to go towards the end and do that, you know, so I could get my points. So let's build and yap. And it's so crazy that I decided to do this type of video because I know it shouldn't discourage me, because at the end of the day I'm going to create the content that I want to create because it makes me happy. But someone on Threads was like, why is everybody just sitting in one place and talking? Whatever happened, no, she said, where are the YouTube content creators? Why is everybody just sitting in one place and talking? Why aren't people outside doing stuff? And I was just like, okay. At the end of the day, people go create the type of content they want to create. And other people was like, whatever you interact with is what the algorithm is going to push to you. And then somebody also was like, they're still there, but like not everybody want to be outside jumping from place to place all the time. And I'm just like, I don't know. And then somebody else say that they created this new thing with just yapping, and here I am just yapping. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna create the content that I like to create. I hope that you guys enjoy it. If it's a hit, it's a hit. If it's not, then it's not, and then I'll just pivot to doing some other content that I like in the format that I like. But also, yeah. The only thing I don't like about these little kits is because they're so small, the bags are not numbered. So I have to like guesstimate where we're starting. I had to forget my hair is brown sometimes, not gonna lie. I also don't know how good on my hair right now, so please excuse me. Okay, my undiagnosed, self-diagnosed ADHD is starting. Let's wheel it back. The journey of my reading. So I've always been an avid reader. And I know people always say that a lot when it comes to readers, but I've always been an avid reader. Like from elementary, reading has always been my highest test score. And I just always used to love going to the library. Like being surrounded by books just made me happy. And when I actually got to middle school is when I really started utilizing my library outside of the designated library times when we had in classes in elementary school. But in middle school, like lunchtime, I would be walking around after eating. And because like in middle school, no, we didn't have a playground. Like in elementary school, we had a playground. But then also too in elementary school, by the time we made it to 4th, 5th, and 6th, we weren't allowed to go on the playground anymore because where the playground was located near the younger kids. So it was located on the side of the school where the kindergartners and first graders was. So they was like, oh, okay, we're going to distract them if we're on the playground. So we used to have to go to the basketball court to play. And if you're from the Virginians and you're watching this, I went to Emmanuel Benjamin Oliver Elementary School, better known as EBO. And you know, when I talk about the basketball court, we had to walk down a steep hill after eating in a cafeteria, which was at the top of the school. And then we had to go all the way down to the bottom of the hill and then all the way back up. So either which way. So I didn't really get to utilize the library during that time frame. I also don't know if we used to be able to go then, because again, as soon as you finish lunch, they used to be like, straight to the basketball court, you gotta go. I'm like, okay. So by the time we went to middle school, we didn't have a designated place to go after you eat lunch. We used to have to go in our team area. I'm really just trying to fix my hair now because I think I messed up the calls. So in middle school, we didn't have a designated area to go to. We just had to go like by our team area, because in middle school too, we was sectioned off by teams. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna start going to the library during lunch. I don't want to be outside doing whatever those kids are doing. Running around, making noise. Yeah, ain't nobody got time for that. So I started to go to the library during lunch. And I remember the very first book I picked up there. It was a series. It was Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. I don't know that book. The first book had just looked so interesting to me. So I picked it up and I ended up being completely enthralled with that series. And from there, I just like going to the library during lunch, and that also heightened my love for reading, because at that point now I was in a library like every lunch period. If I was reading or returning a book, getting a new book, like that was just me. And then we had a bookstore back then called Dockside Bookshop. It was located in Havenside. So my mother used to take me there and we used to buy books. And I remember this is when I started reading from the publishing company Kimani True. And if you have any Kimani True books with like the teenagers, those series, I used to love those series down bad. If you have any of those, let me know. I would be willing to buy them from you. I'm trying to gain back some, or at least start a collection for me to reread, and then I will pass them down. For me to reread and then pass them down to my daughter when she get older, because those books, we need to bring back those books for these kids. That Blue Ford series, yeah. But anyways, so Kimani True had the publishing company where they did those like teenage, middle school, early high school, age appropriate books. I remember going to Dockside. What I love about going to Dockside is I'm envisioning it right now. The day when I was buying those books, sitting on the floor. Back then I used to read the back of books. I don't read the back of books now. Trying to figure out what books I gonna get. So every time I used to get good grades, because I always got good grades, my mother would take me to the bookstore. But I remember this memory. And we bought, well, not we, because I had no money, my mother had no money. She bought me 3 books. And if you know those Kimani True books back then, they were a little thick, or they were at least thick to me. And we bought 3, and I finished them by the time the weekend was done. And I was like, okay, mommy, I need something else to read. And she was like, Donnie, I just bought you 3 books. And I said, yeah. I finished them. So this was before I was even in any extracurricular activities. So I didn't have anything to do on the weekend but read. So those 3 books, and I know we didn't go to the bookstore the Friday, so we had to go through the bookstore that Saturday. So that means when I got those books on Saturday, I finished them the next day. Those 3 books. Again, I was not in any extracurricular activities then. I used to play basketball, but that was only during the school year. We're not going to even talk about that experience. So my mom was like, no man. And then that's when I got introduced to my first Kindle. So I got my first Kindle. I was hyped. My mother connected. You know, she bought me so much books on there. But again, it goes to the problem of me not having an extracurricular activity. So all I did was read. I was running through them books like I had to drink water. It was just going. So eventually I stopped like asking mother, oh, I could buy this book. I could buy this book. And back then the books was like $1.99 or something. I had her password. The card was attached to the book. This is back in that Kindle day where you had to purchase the book on Amazon.com and then hit send to Kindle. You couldn't just purchase the book and then it would automatically send to your Kindle. You couldn't purchase the book on your Kindle. Nah. You had to sign into your account on a PC, purchase the book, and then hit send to Kindle. Wait a few minutes for your Kindle to get the book. Those are the good old days. But anyways, I had to get tired of asking my mother. And again, the books was like $1.99 back then, or 99 cents. They wasn't the prices they are now. So I just keep buying books. And then one day my mother caught on. And she was like, darling, what's all these charges on Amazon? And I was like, books. Books for my Kindle. And she's like, but you didn't ask. I was like, but it's books. And it was only $1.99. Back then it wasn't my money. $1.99 wasn't, it wasn't too much to me. It wasn't my money. But apparently $1.99 adds up. So she took her card off. Yeah, she did that. But anyways, by then I was in high school. And again, in high school, oh, I finished. See, yapping. This is the flower. We finished that part. So now we're going to move on to making the turtle. And this is why I like to keep my pieces separate, because now I have to open up the second bag to get the turtle pieces as well, because the pieces like mix up already. Okay, so now we are in the transition of high school. So again, middle school, I was reading a lot from the Kimani True Publishing Company. I'm gonna put examples of some of the books that I used to read, and I really want to get back some of them. If I don't expect to get back all, but I would like to get back majority of them, and I think I'm gonna just start buying them here and there. Again, if you own some and you want to get rid of them, I don't mind purchasing them, paying for shipping, whatever you need. Let me know. We could work something out. Yeah, so when we got to high school, so let me go back again. The middle school that I attended was Bertha C. Bichelton Middle School, better known as BCB. And that was located in Country. So Country is the eastern side of the island. So I went to all eastern schools for elementary school, middle school. However, for high school, I ended up going to school in Tong, which is the west side of the island. And that school was called Charlotte Amalia High School, also known as CAHS. So majority of my friends was still on the eastern side of the island, so they went to the east school called Ivana Dorican High School. So of course, now when I got to high school, in going to Tong, it's like, oh, I have to start making new friends, because now I'm not going to see those friends that I've been with in school from since elementary. But my bestest friend, Krisha, she also decided to come to high school. So I didn't really have to start from scratch. And then my other best friend back then, Randy, she was actually my friend from since preschool. That's when I had first meet her. And then she ended up going to BCB, and then she went back to Charlotte. So, okay, I established. I have 2 friends there. We good. But then, by then, I was also in majorette. So now I have an extracurricular activity. So I didn't have to run up my mother's bill anymore, because I did have to start asking, for the books. And I wasn't running through my books as fast anymore from the bookstore, because now I have an extracurricular activity that was taking up a lot of my time, because now I was a baton twirler. Cool? Great. So now I have friends. But, when you get into high school, you try and find your way. You try and find your niche and stuff like that. I was still a nerd. That was still very much a nerd. So I used to go to the lunchroom and eat lunch, which apparently was a thing you weren't supposed to do in high school, but I was hungry. And then I used to go to the library. I don't know what my friends were doing. I know what I was doing. I know we used to have like these designated areas, like when you go to school, I'm like, oh, this group of kids sit here, this group of kids sit there. So my friends used to sit in one location. But again, apparently it was forbidden for you to really, it wasn't cool. It wasn't a cool thing to go eat lunch in a cafeteria. But I was hungry, so I went. And then I went to the library. And then from there, I met our librarian, Miss Barry. But before we get into that, so when I started going to the library, that's when I was introduced to the Twilight series. I think I remember that being like the first series that I tried to read. Twilight. Okay, see, these types of pieces is what always mess me up when it comes to Legos, because it's supposed to have one that goes this way and then one that goes that way. So they're like supposed to be like this or whatever. But I'm not seeing the others, and I think, oh wait, did I find it? Or is it the same? Size. Okay. They're both supposed to be like this. Cool. So I think Twilight was the first series I got introduced to while at the library. I remember reading those, going through those quickly as well. And then I tried to read Harry Potter. That didn't work out. I returned it expeditiously. But then I started talking to the librarian, Miss Barry, and she introduced me to urban fiction. So then she started a book club. It was just me, my new best friend now, Tokoya, and this other girl. Just the 3 of us with the librarian. We had our own urban fiction club, and we used to meet like every Wednesday or something like that. So shout out to Miss Barry for introducing me to urban fiction, and that's when my love of urban fiction started to bloom. And then I got introduced to Wattpad. So we was in there. So you looking for me in the library, my book club, and then I didn't have to go to the lunch room anymore to eat lunch, at least on Wednesdays, because Miss Barry used to bring, because then they started doing grab and go lunch, because our lunchroom wasn't that big. So it couldn't house all the students, because back then we all had lunch at the same time. So it couldn't house all of us at one time. So they started doing grab and go, where they were like, you could either sit or you could grab your lunch in a brown bag and go. So she started bringing lunch in there for us. So okay, so I used to go to my little book club, and even when I didn't have book club, I was in a library because I needed to read books, and Brenda said I need to slow down my spending on books. Cool. It could have been drugs. Whatever. So that's how I got started with reading urban fiction. And then in one of my math classes, one of my classmates brought a Zane book. And everybody's like, ooh, what's this? And we started passing around a book. And I remember the name of the book because it made me bawl. And I reread it as an adult. I think I have 2 copies of that book now. But it was Afterburn by Zane. And that was my introduction to Zane. I think that was 10th grade. We was passing around the book. I don't know if she had it from her mother. And then she just started reading it. But that's how we started our own little in-class book club. We were reading Zane. In 10th grade. Yeah. That's how it was going. Still read Zane today, but shout out to my 10th grade math class. I don't remember if it was calculus or trigonometry, one of those, but shout out to y'all. Yeah. It's just so funny to think about that. All right. So from then, once I graduated high school, at that point now, I was still reading. Oh, then in English class, we got introduced to the Blue Fort series. Absolutely love that. And then we got introduced, of course, with my AP classes. All those classic reads, like There As Was Watching God, 1983, George Orwell. Those classic books. Catcher in the Rye. It's so funny because Catcher in the Rye was my favorite summer reading assignment because it was a funny book and it had cussing in it. I was in high school. There wasn't much that could have made me happy when it came to reading in high school, but yeah. So those classic books, The House on Mango Street, I was reading those. So then when I got to college now, we got introduced to Kindle Unlimited. I think it was, yeah, we got introduced to Kindle Unlimited. So my best friend at the time, she had a subscription. So of course I was sharing a subscription. So that's when I got introduced to what I didn't know they were called indie authors at the time. I just thought, I didn't know the difference between indie and published. I just know that I was still reading urban fiction. And that's when I got introduced to a lot of like Jackwell J. I honestly can't remember back then because I didn't start really kind of tracking my reading until like 2018 because I started realizing that I was reading so fast and I was reading through so many books that I would sometimes end up rereading some of the books. And honestly, I could show you, like, I had to make a note on my phone of what I was reading, and before I download a book, I would have to search it to make sure that I didn't read it. So I would put the name of the book down and then put an asterisk next to it to say, oh yeah, I did read this. So like this, I don't know if you could see, but this was my reading log back then, and this was all urban. Everything off of KU. This was it. And the asterisk mean I read it, I liked it. And then it had like in parentheses, waiting on part 4, or I didn't like the writing, or this is a back set. Too rapey, did not finish. I was like, wow, I did do that, okay. So this is how I used to track my reading. This was like in 2018 now. So at that point, I already had my undergrad degree and I was starting grad school. So this is literally, that's how I was reading. Just this urban, at this time I just knew it as urban fiction. I didn't know that there was a subgenre which was called urban romance. I know that now, so I was just strictly reading urban romance. Like, that's it. And then I joined a book club, a virtual book club made up of people from back home in the Virgin Islands. And I think the very first book we read was The Vanishing Half. I think that's what we read. We read The Vanishing Half, then we read Silent Patient, and then we read American Marriage, and then it kind of disappeared. The book club no longer exists. I was like, okay. So then I started reading memoirs to kind of break up my urban romance, but then I stopped reading altogether because I had a bright idea to go back to grad school. And with me going back to grad school, I would prefer to read my books than do my assignments. So I had to stop to focus on my assignments. And my treat was finishing my assignments at the end of the semester was to get back into reading. But I still went back into urban romance. So at this point now, I was doing urban romance and I was doing memoirs. I was going like in between those. Then in 2023, I was introduced to my very first Kennedy Ryan book. At this point, I wasn't reading like contemporary romance until I was introduced to my very first Kennedy Ryan book, and that was Before I Let Go. And I was hooked. So now, contemporary romance is thrown into the mix. And then I started listening to audiobooks, but only memoirs, and it had to be narrated by that author. And I think the first one I listened to was I think it was Will Smith. Don't quote me on it, but I think it was Will Smith was the very first audiobook. I actually enjoyed it. I absolutely enjoyed it. So I was like, okay, I'm only gonna listen to memoirs, but it has to be narrated by that author because it makes it feels personable and like a one-on-one FaceTime call. And my favorite audiobook of all time will be Leslie fucking Jones, because that book was amazingly narrated by her. Top tier. I always recommend that one. So now contemporary romance is in the mix. Kennedy Ryan is taking over my world. And then I started to go down the Kennedy Ryan pathway. And then from Kennedy Ryan, I got introduced to, I don't know how I got introduced to Farrah Rashan, but now I got introduced to Farrah Rashan. She's taking over my life. And then I'm starting to get introduced to all kind of authors. Like, I am a romance girly now. Like, this is my life. I am breathing, eating, sleeping romance. Like, you couldn't tell me that I wasn't a romance girly. Because I am now. This is where we are right now with the turtle. We are on step 7 of I don't know how much. So that's who he is now. So now we are a romance girly, contemporary romance outside of urban romance. And then my best friend started reading historical fiction. Best friend started reading historical fiction. So guess what? I started dabbling in historical fiction. I was like, oh, I like this genre too. So bam, now we end with historical fiction. So now we went from Lemony Snicket to Kimani Publishing. We went through also I forgot, in high school I was also introduced to the House of Night series. I absolutely love that series, and right now I'm collecting the books so I could do a reread as an adult, because it's like 12 books and I never actually finished because I kind of lost my pathway in high school when I got introduced to urban romance. So I forgot about that. House of Night series, I remember enjoying it so much. Like, I was reading through those books really quickly too, until I got distracted and then I wasn't reading them anymore. But anyways, so boom, historical fiction. We in there like swimwear. I am reading historical fiction now because of my best friend, and come to find out, not just with historical fiction, but it is also historical romance. Romance is everywhere. Like, oh my god, romance is really everywhere. I don't understand how people hate the genre, but y'all seem to have it in your books. But okay, so we got historical fiction. I think I did this wrong. So now we got historical fiction, we got urban romance, we got contemporary romance. Like, I am dibble and dabbling in everything. Then we got rom-com. It's like, baby, I'm all over. Then we got YA. And it's so funny that this all started because of Lemony Snicket. That's where my love for reading really took off. Lemony Snicket in 7th or 8th grade, but middle school. And now I'm introduced to this world of reading, this world of genre. I am immersed in it. Like, you can't get me out. So now this is where we are, but we have to flip it, I guess, to make the little feets. We gotta make the little feets for the turtle. So let's make the little feets for the turtle. And I don't know, it just felt great right now to share my memories with you all. So if you made it this far, drop a book emoji in the comment section, because I just want to see how far people actually make it into this video. If you didn't make it this far, okay, I still like to talk. But thinking back on my reading journey and just that evolution of reading, for real, is actually very funny. But also it brought up these memories that I have of my childhood that I didn't really remember that I had of my childhood. And I don't know. I just feel happy to share that with you all. Look, they're gonna have the little toes. You see? So, if you're here, this is the tail. Okay. Let me turn it this way so I could do it like what the image had, because then next thing you know, my little turtle feet's gonna be backwards, and the turtle can't walk backwards. That would be weird. Be very weird. Can you imagine having a turtle with feet on backwards? They'll need surgery. Can I have that for my little turtle? All right, the feets are on. This is what we have. We're going. Honestly, if I wasn't yapping, I probably would have finished this already, but I just got so caught up in sharing my memories with you guys. Thank you for sticking along. So yeah, that's my evolution of reading. I'm a romance girl, you know. I love anything with romance. I would try. Honestly speaking, I would try any genre once to see if I like it. I think I have gotten to that point where I just like trying stuff. Like I have tried, I forgot what it's called. I didn't care too much for it. I read like 1 or 2 books out of it, and I was like, Speculative fiction. I have read 1 or 2 books. They were cool, but not enough for me to be like, yeah, I'll run it back on that genre. I just don't think that genre is for me. But it was a cool thing to try. Because again, I would try 1 or 2. 1 or 2. Kind of depends on, you know, how I feel in a sense. This is why I don't like when these little bags, because now there is no order. And I don't know what I'm looking for. No, that's not what I need. That's not what I need. That's not what I need. Here it is. Yeah. Oh, ouch, that hurts. This goes here. Okay. So right now, let's see. Majority of my collection is contemporary romance. Majority of my books are mixed with contemporary, like red is contemporary romance and urban romance. I am building my physical collection of urban romance because a lot of it is read on KU, so I don't have a lot of those physical copies. Working on it, but like, yeah. So I really started gaining my collection as I started going to these book events. But when we talk about my evolution of reading, let's double back a little bit to before I solidified and gave my life up to give my life up is actually kind of crazy. Before I solidified my full black indie romance and just black indie authors, because one thing I'm going to do, that's what I'm going to highlight. That's what I'm going to talk about. My black authors, like especially my black indie authors, because the bangers be banging. Okay, not even just in the hood, but just in general. They are so many Black indie authors out there whose catalog is like whoosh, amazing. Before I solidified where I want to be as a reader, I was buying any and everything that looked interesting to me. And back then, I used to shop in that Red Circle place, and they always had either buy one get one free, buy two get one free, buy one get one half price, and that's when I used to rack up books. Kind of books, because I was just reading. But as I entered this book space, I started to try more other books, other authors, and then I solidified what I really like, and that's where I spend my money. That's where I spend my money on my Black authors. Now, is there non-Black authors that I read and that I like auto reads that I know is going to be good? Yes, there are some. Especially my favorite rom-com author. She's actually British. Sophie Kinsella. She passed away this year, and I was heartbroken. That broke me because I also got introduced to her books in high school because they were in my library, and that's when I first started reading her, and she is an auto read author for me. Love her down real bad, and that broke my heart a little bit for real because it was just so out of the blue. Love that lady. Also was introduced to Jodi Picoult in high school. Love that lady down real bad. She's an auto read author for me. She's just emotionally taxing sometimes, so I can't read too many of her books back to back because yeah, she's gonna make you cry. So I have those. I also read Bonnie Garmas. She was Barnes & Noble pick up the year, I think in 2023, but I didn't read her till 2024 because I was like, why is this book so special? You know what? I'm gonna read you. Read it. Loved it so bad. I watched the adaptation on Apple TV. Love it so bad. Like, I don't think I understand. I love that book so bad. I actually own 3 copies of it. The original cover, the red paperback, and the special edition cover for it because it's also signed. Because I don't think I'll ever meet her in life. I did something wrong. Did I do something wrong? I think I did something wrong, guys. Okay, wait. I think I did something wrong. I'm over here yapping. I did something wrong. Okay, I fixed it. Yeah, so absolutely love it. And I've been waiting for her to release a new book for the longest, and she's finally getting a new one in October, I think. So I'm absolutely getting that. I think this is part of the shell of the turtle. So yeah, that's where we are as a reader. Love my Black indies, love my Black authors because yeah, I don't know. As I got into this space, kind of transitioned more into heavily reading the black romances because I love love. I am a lover, and I love reading those stories about my Black women being loved correctly by Black men, or just being loved correctly, getting those happily ever afters, because we deserve it. We are deserving of that love, regardless of what anybody says. We are deserving of love, and as Kennedy Ryan says, not all love has to be difficult. We don't have to be getting run through the mud trying to get the love that we deserve, the happiness and the peace that we deserve. Oh, they wanted me to build this 2 times. Why did they set up from the beginning? So now I gotta go back in the beginning of the book. Lego, sometimes you really irk my nerves. And with if I was doing this from my iPad, it would have told me in the beginning I have to do this 2 times, and I would have did it. Oh, you see, Rita's not reading. It told me right here that I had to do 2 times. But I was too busy yapping, so I missed that. Okay, fine. That's my fault. I take accountability for that. So we are building the shell, and I should have focused on what the book was telling me, but here I am yapping. Okay. Yeah. So that's really my evolution of a reader and where I am right now. You could scroll through my page. You see what I promote or what I read. And don't look at my Goodreads or Storygraph right now. I ain't got no books on there. They don't have no books on there for this year. I'm sorry. You could look at it for my past reads. But right now, that's Sunday's problem. I have been horrible with digitally logging my reading, and that's what I plan to do this weekend for real. I've been writing in my actual reading journal because I did want to get back into physically writing it, but digitally that will happen Sunday. That's gonna be part of my Sunday self-care, Sunday reset vibe. So come back to watch that video. Other side of the show is done, so we gotta add it. Don't we gotta add it here? How am I add it here? Or is it to the side? Did I do something wrong again? Oh, I gotta turn it this way. It's like this. Okay. Here's the with the shell. This is gonna be the head. This is the tail. This is the shell. All right, we almost done. We almost done, and then I can wrap this conversation because it's been long. When it comes to reading, all I have to say is read what makes you happy. Read what you want to read. Don't listen to the outside voices. You do not have to follow the hype of what everybody is posting and what everybody is reading just because you want to be part of the discussion. Like, it's okay to want to be part of the discussion, but please understand that everybody's reading style or reading likes are different. Not everybody is going to like the same thing. And when it comes to wanting to be part of discussions and stuff, you have to realize that, yeah, you could read this popular book, but what person A might absolutely love the book, while person B absolutely hated the book, and person C is just like, I don't know if I like or I hate it. But reading is subjective. You don't have to read every popular book that's out there. The non-popular books are just as amazing. They may not get the hype that the popular books are getting, and that's okay. Read what you want to read. Promote what you want to promote. Life is too short to be stuck in a book that you don't like because it's going against whatever is trending at the moment, and it's not the end of the world. Deadass, it's not. Read what makes you happy. Post what makes you happy, other than those authors who, they deserve to go to hell for their racist ways and stuff like that. That's just what it is. But do what makes you happy. Read what makes you happy. Don't always live up to the hype. Reading is subjective. Did I put an eye on backwards? I did. I don't want my thing to have surgery. Sure. Okay. This is the head. Look at the eyes. So we have to put that here. Is this one? Okay. Wait. Is it here? Oh, okay. And then it goes here. Oh, darn. Guys. Don't break my turtle. Oh, it made a mouth. When it flips up, it makes the little mouth. And it... This is my turtle. You see my turtle? Isn't he adorbs? Oh, I gotta add the tongue. This is gonna be the tongue. Oh, is it a piece of leaf to show like the eating? I don't know. Okay, it's a piece of leaf. Okay, here's my turtle and the flower. This is gonna go on my bookshelf when I start adding back my books. But here's my masterpiece. He looks like me, right? Anyways, if you made it all the way to this end of this video, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to me yap. Drop a turtle emoji in the comments from my widow. Doo-doo, doo-doo, doo-doo. Anyways, my books don't expire. Buy the book, you can read it anyways. Thank you for listening to me. Lego and yap. See you in my next video. See you in my next video. Okay, bye.